Picture this scene. It's finally spring, the sun is shining, the birds are singing. And where are you? You're stuck standing there, shovel in hand, trying to break up ground that's hard as rock. Sound familiar? But what if I told you that you could completely eliminate this back-breaking work? What if December wasn't the dead season for gardeners, but actually your secret weapon for an easy spring start? Most people assume there's nothing to do in the garden during winter, and that's a huge mistake. Today I'm going to reveal a simple method that lets you prepare your garden beds right now in December so that come spring you can just walk in and start planting, ready to change the way you think about gardening forever and finally ditch that shovel, then stick around because you'll want to pay close attention. Before we get into the step-by-step process, let's talk about why traditional deep tilling, whether you do it in fall or spring, isn't always beneficial. For decades, we were taught that we needed to deeply turn the soil. But modern agronomy tells a very different story. Imagine your soil as a multi-story building where billions of tiny inhabitants, microorganisms, live on different floors. The top layers are home to aerobic life, which needs oxygen. Deeper down, you have anaerobic life, which is killed by oxygen. When we turn the soil over with a shovel or a tiller, we create absolute chaos in this ecosystem. We bury the organisms that live on top, essentially burying them alive, and we bring the anaerobic organisms up to the surface, where they die. Ultimately, we destroy the soil's natural structure and kill its fertility. The natural farming method we are discussing today is based on the opposite principle. Don't interfere with nature, support it. Our goal is to create the right environment so that the soil inhabitants do the hard work of making the ground loose and fertile for us. So, what's the first thing we tackle in December? It has to be the big cleanup. But hold on. Don't rush to burn everything immediately. Your main goal here is to clear the beds of all plant debris that could harbour diseases or become a cosy home for pests next season. Tomato foliage hit by blight, or zucchini leaves covered in powdery mildew. All that needs to go straight into the bonfire. Alternatively, you can bury it deep in your compost heap, but only if you are absolutely sure your pile runs hot enough to kill those pathogens. However, healthy materials like sunflower stalks, corn cobs, or dried raspberry canes, those are valuable resources. Definitely don't throw those away. You can shred them up and use them as the first, coarsest layer of our future winter blanket, or mulch layer for the garden beds. This step is much more than just tidying up. It's a critical phytosanitary treatment that will prevent countless pest and disease problems next year. Just imagine that clean, prepared garden bed, waiting like a blank canvas for your next abundant harvest. The next step, and one that many gardeners overlook, is a simple soil assessment. Don't panic, you won't need to haul samples off to a laboratory. Instead, just walk up to your garden bed and talk to the soil. Look at which weeds were thriving there over the summer season. For instance, horsetail and plantain are usually a clear sign of high acidity. Lamb's quarters and nettles, conversely, love rich, fertile ground. Next, take a handful of earth. If it easily crumbles and runs through your fingers like sand, it's severely lacking in organic matter. If it compresses into a dense, heavy lump, like clay or putty, you're dealing with heavy loam or clay soil that desperately needs loosening and aeration. This simple visual and tactile inspection will provide you with more valuable information than you might imagine. It will tell you exactly what to prioritise when preparing the bed. Do you need to add neutralising materials such as wood ash or dolomitic lime? Or maybe you should focus on incorporating sand and coarse organic matter to improve the soil structure. It's like getting a proper diagnosis before starting treatment, a truly essential stage. Now for the key point that sets our method apart from traditional gardening. We are not going to dig. At all. Forget about the heavy spade or shovel. Our main tools are either a specialised plane cutter, a broad fork, or a simple garden fork. Our objective is not to turn over heavy clumps of earth, but simply to lightly loosen the topsoil, only about 2 to 3 inches deep, roughly 5 to 7 centimetres. Why do we do this? First, we improve air circulation in the topsoil, which greatly benefits all the helpful microorganisms. Second, we disrupt the microscopic capillaries in the soil that allow moisture to escape, effectively trapping the water inside the bed. And third, we provoke weed seeds that are already near the surface into sprouting. Don't worry, they won't have time to mature. The first harsh frost will simply wipe them out, meaning you'll have significantly less weeding work come springtime. Imagine the difference this makes. Instead of breaking your back turning over heavy clods of earth, you simply glide over the surface of the garden bed, almost as if you were gently combing it. This simple action preserves the soil structure and protects all the beneficial life within it. After lightly tilling the ground, it's time to lay the foundation for what we call our layered garden bed. This is the layer of coarse organic material. What exactly do we mean by that? We're talking about materials that break down very slowly, but provide incredible drainage and aeration right at the base of the bed. Great examples include shredded branches from pruning trees and shrubs, tough stalks like corn, sunflowers, or Jerusalem artichokes, standard wood chips, or even old, rotting logs and stumps. This single layer serves multiple crucial purposes. First, it prevents the lower soil layers from compacting. Second, it acts as a long-term, slow-release food source for the fungi and microorganisms that will slowly break it down and enrich the surrounding soil. And perhaps most importantly, it creates vital air pockets. In the spring, these pockets will fill with meltwater and air, ensuring the entire bed remains warm and well aerated, or breathing. Spread this material out into a substantial layer, about 4 to 6 inches deep. That's 10 to 15 centimeters. This layer will be the foundation of your future fertility, actively nourishing your garden for several seasons to come. The next layer in our garden sandwich is the compost, but during the winter months it plays a specialized role. It's not just a fertilizer. Think of it more as a starter culture and a warm, thermal blanket for the entire soil biome. Make sure you use well-aged, airy, crumbly compost. If you don't have a large supply, well-rotted manure, leaf mold, or even rich, fertile soil gathered from underforest trees will suffice. Spread this layer 2 to 4 inches thick, directly on top of the coarse organic material below. What benefits does this approach provide? First, we are introducing a massive quantity of beneficial microorganisms. These microbes will immediately get to work breaking down that lower, bulky layer. Second, compost acts like a dark, absorbent sponge. It will soak up and retain the heat from the weak winter sun, providing a subtle thermal boost to the entire bed. And third, it is prime food for earthworms, who will migrate here from surrounding areas of your garden to overwinter. These hard-working creatures will become your greatest allies, diligently aerating and fertilizing the soil from the inside out. So don't be stingy with the compost. It's a critical investment in the long-term health of your garden earth. Many gardeners plant cover crops like mustard, rye and oats in the fall. By December, these crops often stand tall, either as a lush, green mass or a frozen stiff blanket. This raises the inevitable question: what should we do with them now? The most common myth is that you must till them in and incorporate the biomass into the soil. Please don't do this. Tilling will eliminate nearly all the benefits they provide. The correct solution is simple. Leave the cover crops standing right where they are, on the surface. Frost and snow will take care of the heavy lifting for you. They will naturally flatten the stalks to the ground, and the crops will transform into organic, natural mulch. As their root systems decompose underground, they will leave behind countless channels and passages, which naturally loosen and structure the soil. Meanwhile, the green matter decaying on the surface becomes a rich food source for earthworms and beneficial microbes. If the stalks are excessively tall, like those of rye, you can simply cut them down at the base with a garden hoe or flat-bladed tool and let them lie in place. This way, your cover crops will fulfill their mission 100%. They will loosen, feed, and protect your soil all at once. Now let's dive into the most exciting part, mulching. The first secret layer of our protective blanket is cardboard. Yes, just regular corrugated cardboard from shipping boxes. This layer serves a vital mission, fighting off tough, perennial weeds. Weeds like quackgrass, ground elder and dandelions. Their roots can push right through nearly any layer of organic mulch, but cardboard is a barrier they simply cannot penetrate. Lay the sheets of cardboard down, overlapping them by about 8 inches or 20 centimetres to ensure the weeds don't stand a single chance of reaching the light. Be sure to remove all tape and plastic labels from the cardboard first. Soak it thoroughly with water so that it hugs the ground tightly and begins the decomposition process. By spring, nearly all those troublesome weeds will have died off under the barrier, and the cardboard itself will have turned into delicious food for the earthworms, who absolutely love it. This is a simple, yet incredibly effective way to clear your beds of the most aggressive weed invaders, all without using harsh chemicals or hours of exhausting weeding. We've already laid the cardboard foundation designed to suppress weeds. Now let's move on to the next critical layer of mulch. This next element is something that's literally underfoot every autumn, and sadly, something many people mistakenly burn: leaf litter. Leaves are absolute gold for any gardener. They are light, airy, and provide excellent protection against soil freezing and erosion. And as they decompose, they transform into precious leaf mould, which is structurally and nutritionally very similar to the natural forest floor. You can use the leaves from almost any deciduous tree, but we highly recommend avoiding oak and walnut. These contain high levels of tannins, which not only slow decomposition, but also significantly acidify the soil. Spread a generous layer of leaves about 6 to 8 inches deep, 15 to 20 centimetres. Don't worry that this looks excessive. By spring, this deep layer will have compacted and settled dramatically. This leaf layer creates an ideal environment for overwintering beneficial insects and earthworms. It will lock in moisture and protect crucial soil microorganisms from harsh winter freezes. On top of this layer of leaves, we need to add something that will prevent it from blowing away in the first strong gust of wind. This is where straw or hay comes in handy. What's the difference between the two? Straw is essentially the dry stems of cereal crops after they've been threshed, meaning it contains almost no seeds. Hay, on the other hand, is simply mowed and dried grass, and it often contains weed seeds. That's why straw is the preferred option. If hay is all you have available, be prepared for some weeds to sprout in the spring. However, the thick layer of mulch will suppress their growth, making them easy to pull out. Spread the straw or hay in a layer about 6 inches or 15 centimetres deep. This final layer will absorb the brunt of the harsh weather, freezing rain, strong winds, and the intense spring sun. Acting like a roof, it protects all the lower layers of our mulch lasagna and creates an ideal microclimate underneath for the decomposition of organic matter. The result is a multi-layered blanket that will continue working tirelessly throughout the entire winter. Let's quickly review what we've built. We have successfully constructed a real lasagna bed, a layered cake right here in our garden. At the very bottom is the lightly loosened soil. Layered immediately above that is the coarse organic matter, branches and stems. Following that is the nourishing compost layer, our vital starter culture. Next up is the cardboard layer, which serves to block out weeds. Over the cardboard we spread a generous layer of leaf mulch. And finally, crowning the entire structure is the protective layer of straw. So, what exactly is happening inside this cake throughout the winter? Thanks to moisture and fluctuating temperatures, the organic materials begin their slow, steady decomposition process. Microorganisms and earthworms, drawn in by the warmth and the abundance of food, actively work to mix these layers, transforming them into rich humus. By spring, when you peel back that top layer of straw, you won't be greeted by a hard, frozen clod of dirt. Instead, you will find loose, moist, living soil that is absolutely ready for planting. All that's left for you to do is simply make your planting holes and set in your seedlings or seeds. No tilling required, and absolutely no need to break up stubborn clumps. Snow is the most crucial element when it comes to winterizing your garden beds. It's not just frozen water, it's arguably the best insulation nature provides for everything living underneath. A blanket of snow, 12 to 16 inches thick, can protect the soil from even the most severe frosts, keeping the temperature beneath it right around the freezing point. In these conditions, soil microbes and life don't completely stop working. They simply slow down their vital processes. However, strong winds often sweep the snow cover off exposed areas, leaving your garden beds vulnerable to freezing temperatures. Our main goal, therefore, is to trap and hold that snow in place. Fortunately, you can use several simple tricks to achieve this. Lay pruning debris, such as leftover branches or evergreen boughs, directly onto the beds. You can also set up short barriers made of boards or plywood on the windward side. Even the stalks of tall perennial plants, if left standing for the winter, will work wonderfully as natural snow fences. The more snow you can keep on your garden beds, the better your plants will overwinter, and the more moisture the soil will receive during the spring thaw. A common question that comes up when using organic mulch is whether it might attract rodents. It's true that mice and voles love making cozy winter homes underneath the mulch, potentially damaging the roots of your perennials. However, there are several easy ways to make your garden beds less appealing to these pests. First, avoid using any kitchen scraps as mulch, as the scent alone can draw them in. Second, try tucking plants that rodents hate underneath the mulch layer. These include elderberry branches, wormwood, tansy, or hound's tongue. The strong scent acts as a powerful deterrent. Wood ash is another effective option. Scatter a fine layer of ash over your compost before applying the mulch. Rodents dislike the alkaline nature of the ash. Another trick is to place some thorny cuttings, like those from roses or gooseberries, on top of the mulch. This creates a physical barrier that mice won't want to cross. Following these simple steps will help protect your garden beds and keep them safe and sound until spring arrives. Organic gardening enthusiasts often rely on another popular technique, the use of effective microorganism, or EM, preparations. This naturally leads to the question, should we treat our garden beds with these solutions right before winter sets in? There's a common misconception that all microbes freeze and die during the winter months, but that simply isn't the case. Soil microorganisms are actually well adapted to surviving the cold. A thick layer of mulch and snow ensures that the soil rarely freezes down to critical temperatures. Applying EM preparations in the fall, or even in early December, while temperatures are still above freezing, can be extremely beneficial. Think of it as introducing an extra army of tiny workers who will immediately start breaking down organic material. Be sure to soak every layer of your garden bed, or soil lasagna, with the EM preparation solution, strictly following the instructions. This will significantly speed up fermentation, ensuring you have higher quality and more vibrant soil come springtime. However, if hard frosts have already arrived, it's best to postpone this process until spring. Raised beds, sometimes referred to as hot beds or warm beds, require special attention in December. Their design naturally incorporates a large amount of organic material, which generates heat as it decomposes. In winter, however, this process slows down, and the internal organic matter compacts and settles. That's why December is the perfect time to revitalise or feed these beds. Start by removing the existing top layer of mulch and soil, if you have one, and adding fresh organic matter. This could include branches, fallen leaves, or even kitchen scraps, which are safe to use here because they will be buried deep. Then, return the soil to the bed and cover the entire surface with a generous layer of mulch, just like we did with our standard garden beds. This process helps kickstart the composting action inside the bed with renewed vigour. In the spring, this type of bed will warm up significantly earlier than standard beds, allowing you to plant your seedlings 2 to 3 weeks sooner for a super early harvest. Winter care for raised beds is the key to ensuring their maximum productivity in the upcoming season. Wood ash is an extremely valuable source of potassium and phosphorus, packed with a rich array of micronutrients. On top of that, it's highly effective at neutralising acidic soil. Applying ash during the winter offers unique benefits. Spring meltwater will gradually dissolve the ash and carry those vital nutrients directly down to the plant roots. However, it is crucial not to overdo it with wood ash. Too much can significantly raise the soil's pH level, potentially making essential nutrients unavailable to your plants. A good rule of thumb is to apply no more than 1 cup of ash per square metre of garden bed annually. It's better not to spread it directly onto bare ground. Instead, sprinkle it over the surface of your mulch or incorporate it just beneath that layer. The perfect timing for this is right before a snowfall. The snow will cover the ash and prevent the wind from scattering it away. Finally, it's extremely important to remember never to use ash from burning trash, painted wood, or engineered products like particle board or MDF, as these can contain heavy metals and other harmful toxins. Always use ash derived only from clean, untreated wood or pure plant debris. Now let's talk about what you absolutely should not do to your garden beds in December. Mistake number 1 is tilling or digging frozen ground. When you try to break up those frozen clumps, you completely destroy the soil structure, turning it into a fine dust that will compact and crust over after the first spring rain. Mistake number 2 is applying fresh, uncomposted manure. In winter, it won't break down. It will simply freeze solid. When spring arrives, that raw material can burn the delicate roots of young plants and become a major source of weed seeds and pathogens. Fresh manure should only be incorporated in the fall, applied before the kind of aggressive digging we are trying to avoid anyway. Mistake number 3 is leaving your beds bare and unmulched. Bare ground suffers from wind and water erosion, freezes much deeper, and loses valuable moisture and humus. That's like walking outside in freezing weather without a hat or coat. Keep these 3 don'ts in mind, and you will protect your garden from major trouble. We've mentioned earthworms before, but their role is so fundamental we need to dedicate a special section just to them. Earthworms are the chief architects and engineers of your soil. As they consume soil and organic matter, they produce the priceless fertilizer known as vermicompost or biohumus. Their tunnels loosen and aerate the soil deep down, ensuring it remains highly permeable to both water and air. Our winter bed covering system creates a true paradise for these worms. Beneath that thick layer of mulch, the ground won't freeze, and it stays moist and rich with food. Worms from all over your garden will flock to these beds for the winter. They don't truly hibernate. Instead, they continue their beneficial work all winter long, although at a reduced pace. By spring, your garden bed will be literally riddled with their tunnels and massively enriched by their castings. This is genuine, natural fertility, created without any direct effort on your part. All you have to do is set the stage, and nature will take care of the rest. Now that your garden beds are tucked in and getting ready for the next season, you suddenly find yourself with some free time. Use it wisely. December is the perfect time for planning. Grab a sheet of paper and start sketching out your garden layout. Mark exactly where you plan to plant specific crops next year. Make sure you strictly follow the rules of crop rotation. Never plant the same crop or crops from the same family in the same spot for several consecutive years. For instance, if you grew tomatoes in a certain bed this year, avoid planting potatoes or peppers there next season. Also, plan for companion planting. Determine which plants help each other thrive and which ones are detrimental neighbours. You can even step out into the garden right now and use stakes or string to mark out your future rows, even across the snow or mulch. This kind of thorough winter planning will save you a huge amount of time and stress in the spring when every minute counts. Instead of working haphazardly, you'll be executing a clear, well thought out plan. Let's fast forward to the future and imagine the results of our December preparations when spring finally arrives. The snow has melted. You approach your garden bed and carefully rake aside the top layer of partially decomposed straw mulch. We'll save that layer for summer mulching, and underneath, you see a miracle. Instead of the grey, dense, lifeless soil, what lies before you is dark, loose, moist earth, smelling like a spring forest floor. It crumbles in your hands, teeming with the tunnels of earthworms. It needs no digging. It's already ready. You don't need to add fertilizer. It's already saturated with nutrients. You'll barely need to weed, as the layer of mulch has suppressed the growth of competitive plants. All you have to do is draw shallow furrows with a hoe and sow your seeds. You have saved weeks of heavy physical labour, protected your back, and most importantly, created the perfect conditions for your plants to thrive. This is the reward of a sensible, nature-based approach to gardening. So, let's quickly summarise. The main secret we revealed today is this: the best workers in your garden aren't you and your shovel, but nature itself, billions of microorganisms and thousands of earthworms. Our job isn't to interfere with them, but simply to help a little by creating comfortable conditions for them to thrive. Preparing your beds in December using the layered cake method isn't extra work. It's a smart investment of your time that will pay dividends many times over. You won't just avoid the back-breaking heavy digging in the spring, you'll also steadily increase your soil's fertility year after year, restoring its natural structure and health. You are moving from struggling against nature to cooperating with it. And trust me, nature will reward you generously with a rich and healthy harvest. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found this information useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on new gardening secrets. Now, a question for all of you. What are your favourite winter tricks for preparing your garden beds? Do you use any unique methods of your own? Please share your experience in the comments below. Let's learn from each other.